Thanks, Debbie. That was absolutely fascinating. For me personally, because I've spent 35 years working in international development around fair trade issues, but within Asian and Africa and cooperatives. And one of the most moving moments for me in my life was back in my 30s when the International Cooperative Association helped the women's cooperative I was working with in Indonesia, but sent over a delegation of women from Saskatchewan. I could say that without even stuttering. And the joy of the two groups of cooperating women about how they could support each other in different ways to make a difference for all women's lives and bring them out of poverty has stuck with me. And I can see from you talking about Malawi just how important now it is to have the kind of aid which is mutually respectful and supports each other, but is part of a global movement, not just apparent rich countries giving to apparent poor countries. So would you like to tell us a bit more about how that got started and where your interest, which I know roots back into fair trade?
Sure. We'd actually started before that as a teenager, so when I was 18 and 19. And I remember as a student there was an opportunity to go out to Burkina Faso and into the Volters. And at the time I shared a house with four other wonderful girls, have all turned out to be great women as well. And I said, oh, this would be amazing. And the others, whilst they were interested in it, you had to raise a lot of money to fund your place and all the rest of it. So we did parachute jumps and all sorts of things to get the money together to go out. And I just remember seeing, and it still remains today, a sense of hopelessness, which is a dreadful word to share in Africa. And I still see that in parts of Africa, but I don't see that in India. So I see much more energy in India, but it was just dreadful what I experienced in Africa. We were there to build a schoolhouse for children. We got involved in all sorts of other things at the time. Our first job was to build our cesspit so that we could and then set up camp to build the place. But I ended up going to Ghana, and I saw the production of cocoa, and I'm a chocolate lover, so I'm absolutely a galaxy girl. So of course I was fascinated in what was being done in Ghana. And I actually remember thinking, one day I'm going to come back and I'm going to be able to do something here. I had no idea what. I was too young and starry-eyed and it. in co-op group, and as I say, I was a buyer at the time, and Cafe Direct were introducing coffee into the tray, and to be honest, it didn't taste that good, but you felt like you had to support it, and that's the idea of own brand. And of course it was co-ops that developed the first own brands, and I remember it has to taste good. It's a bit like eco products where you used to put the washing up liquid in, but you didn't get a lather and it didn't clean your plate. So we were never going to move things forward with something that wasn't at least as good as everything else that was in the market, so that you've actually got real choice. You've got products that work, that taste fantastic, and your choice is whether you're going to have one that's just produced traditionally or you're going to have one that's just got a bit more ethics around it. And that's been very much the drive. So, you know, I'm delighted to say the cooperative movement has access to the best range of fair trade products because of the work that Cooperative Group has done. The wines in South Africa. So later, my daughter actually, she still does play netball. She was playing netball in South Africa, and I went to visit some of the vineyards producing our fair trade wine. And I have to say, again, what you saw was just, you know, shocking in terms of playing with tires, playing with nails and screws, and they were the only toys. children actually had. So we were able to bring around really, really significant change. And then towards the end of my career in cooperative group, we did a trip to sub-Saharan Africa. We visited 5 African nations in 5 days, and one of them was Malawi. And Malawi, I saw malnutrition, and I hadn't seen malnutrition for a long time. I had seen it before in parts of Central Africa, as I say, as a volunteer, but I hadn't seen it really since the whole of Band-Aid and all of the work that brought the exposure around that, and really did stop it for a while. And again, I vowed one day I'm going to go back to Malawi, and I'm going to do something about it. So Brad Hill had retired from the cooperative group, and I phoned Brad and Terry Hudson and a few of the other people that had been involved originally when we were really trying to establish fair trade. And of course, at first it was, oh, don't you think we've done our bit, you know, and the rest of it. But I knew that Brad was really tempted. And when we talked about it, we thought, yeah, you know, we can do this. But we didn't try it on our own. We engaged with the college, and we have the wonderful Dr. Sarah Aldred, who had links on the ground, would you believe? So again, just through the cooperative network and a few conversations, we were able to get this off the ground pretty quickly, and we were able to really build momentum. And it is absolutely achievable if cooperatives pull together to take Malawi out of poverty. So the Malawi High Commission in London found out about what we were doing, and we shared all of our plans. And they have a plan too to take Malawi out of poverty by 2063. So it just feels like there's an aligning of the stars. So we're now working really together on the ground with the government in Malawi, with the Commission in London, on how and could they see cooperation as a fundamental element of raising the expectation for people in Malawi. So it just looks like all the stars are aligning, to say, and we're going to really be able to make a significant difference.